Welcome to Healing Our Relationships, the podcast. I'm Marisa, healer, transformation guide, and someone who has spent the last 17 years coming home to herself. This podcast was born from a powerful circle I lead each month, where women gather live on Zoom to unearth their codependent patterns, reclaim their truth, and return home to themselves. Here, I bring these same teachings and transmissions to you. Each episode, I'll help you understand what codependency actually is, not in a clinical or shame-based way, but through the lens of spiritual healing and personal empowerment. We'll explore the real impact these patterns have on your nervous system, your relationships, your sense of self, and your spirit. I'll offer grounded tools, guided inquiries, perception shifts, and an invitation to heal in community, not just alone. This is a space for deep truth-telling, for remembering who you are beneath the stories and the shape-shifting, and for walking each other home. You don't have to do this perfectly. You just have to begin. So let's get started. Hey everyone, welcome to this bonus episode of Healing Our Relationships. I wasn't planning to release this one right now, but it just felt very necessary. I'm always trying to tune into the field and the women that I work with and the women around me. So you're all getting a bonus episode this week. Should I stay or should I go? This is an incredibly painful, often agonizing, obsessing part of being inside of a relationship that does not feel good. And yet there's so much confusion, so much fear, so much uncertainty, so much lack of trust. When you're not sure what's yours and you're not sure what's theirs, or you're confused, just that looping, exhausting thought process of trying to figure it out. And it feels like the needle's not moving and you're not getting any clarity. And you just keep asking the question to yourself, should I stay or should I go? And the evidence gathering that we do to try to figure it out. When someone is treating us right in the moment, or we feel happy, we feel like they love us, they do something, they affirm us, or something happening and we feel safe. And then the next day they're avoidant, or we don't like their tone, or something happens and we completely question. Or maybe they are being emotionally abusive in 1 minute, physically abusive in 1 minute, and then the next they're apologizing and they're sorry, and then they're an empathetic, loving person that you always wish they could be. Whether it's a romantic relationship, a friendship, a family member, family bond, or a work situation, this question can feel like it takes over the entire nervous system when it's all that you can think about. And so I really want to offer you a place to land here. I want to kind of interrupt the kind of linear journey I've been taking you on inside of this podcast, because this thought process, this obsession, this fear often very, very much exists in the moment that you're in right now as you're exploring and figuring out what to do. And I know for me, this was part of my experience and one of the most painful and agonizing parts of my codependency, was I just did not know how to be in this space of uncertainty and constantly questioning. So first, I want you to know that you're not crazy. You're not alone in this. You're not broken and you're not weak. I want to help you feel some safety and groundedness in the not knowing. And I want to give you permission to love yourself and be compassionate with yourself inside of the not knowing. Because it is a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure. And the truth is that you do not know the answer, because if you knew the answer, you would just stay and honor that yes and stay, and you wouldn't be questioning it, or you would leave and you would feel safe and confident and secure in your choice to leave. So not knowing is okay, and it's part of the process. It's normal. And it is really here in this place of not knowing that you can start to do the most important part of this work, which is to turn towards yourself, to be doing your own inner healing and your own work so you can have the confidence, the security, and the self-trust to make the decision and honor it. Because here's the thing, is that if you're in the relationship and every day obsessing over whether you should stay or go, the truth is that you have your answer for yourself in that moment is you want to stay. You're not ready. And maybe you're even like, I don't want to be here, but I'm so scared. I don't want to be here, but I feel trapped. That is still your yes. You're still saying yes to staying. And that's okay. It's okay that you're scared. It's okay that you're anxious. And you can move from fear and anxiety, and you can start seeking the help and support that you need so that you can come into a place of trust and knowing. So I just want to start by saying that. So why does it feel so urgent? This is a really good question to ask, right? We're always talking about a sacred pause, getting curious, getting compassionate with ourselves. It most likely feels urgent because you want relief. You want to know now what to do. And when you're living in survival mode, this makes a lot of sense because the nervous system often associates not knowing with danger. And then the evidence gathering is the scanning for danger. It's the trying to figure it out. It's the obsessive ruminating thoughts. It's going over what you want to say or what you wish you could say. So when you're looking for the answer, you're looking for it to quiet your anxiety. But as we've talked about before, the anxiety that lives in your body, this is a somatic anxiety. This is probably a lot of trauma response as well. These are feelings and emotions and things that are happening in the body. And when we're in those anxious thoughts and the obsessive thought, or should I stay or go, we're really staying in the story and in the head. And so there's two parts to this, right? It's coming into the body, but it's also shifting the story here. And the obsession and the question around should I stay or should I go, that's not really about the relationship that's in front of you. I know it feels like it is, but the truth is it's really about our own sense of self. It's about whether or not you trust your own gut. It's about fear of abandonment. It's survival. When you've built your sense of worth around keeping others happy, the idea of leaving can be unbearable. When you've built your sense of self-worth around your partner, then the idea of leaving can become unbearable. When you are seeking for someone to fill the voids inside of you, the idea of leaving can feel unbearable. When there's a part of you that doesn't know if this is your fault or not, the idea of leaving can feel unbearable. So where the work really begins right now, should I stay or should I go? I don't know. I'm so anxious. And I'll have a woman come to me and she'll have a 10-minute monologue, because this was me too. I'd have these huge monologues. They were these big stories. I don't mean this in a way of disrespect by calling it a monologue, but it's true. It's this entire story of what they said and what they did and how they acted and what they did and how it made you feel, and then this and then this and then this and then that. And it's this whole thing about them. And I'm so confused because they did this, and this, and I don't know what to do. And I always want to be that safe space because I had that safe space. External processing is really important. I will listen for 15, 20, 45 minutes to all of the details because that's what I needed. I needed someone to hold all that space for me for years. I was so focused on trying to figure out the story and what was happening and what they said and did they mean this and is this mine and is this because I'm insecure? Is this because they're emotionally abusive? Are they being abusive? Googling and trying to figure out what emotional and verbal abuse even was. But in every moment after I had that space to process, the questions that were the most powerful ones were the ones that were about me and not the other person. And so when a woman comes to me and they are in their story and they're trying so hard to figure it out and they want the answer, they really want to know what to do, I would very much annoyingly turn them into themselves and say, what do you need right now in this moment to feel more grounded and connected to yourself? Well, shoot, that's not the answer anybody wants. They want to know, should I stay or should I go? But I can't tell you to stay or go. And no one could tell me to stay or go. I had people telling me to go and to get out of there, but I wasn't sure. Why wasn't I sure? Because I wasn't in my truth. I wasn't connected to myself. I wasn't embodied. I wasn't secure. I didn't even know what I wanted. I spent so much time in the relationship feeling like I obsessively wanted to make it work and had to be that I never even gave myself an opportunity to think, Marisa, do you even want to be in this relationship? Or are you just trying to make somebody love you and see you the way that you want to be loved and seen? So this is all to say that the story didn't really matter, because my truth was in that moment, I didn't know what to do. And I was desperately trying to rush the answer with obsessive thinking, obsessive thoughts, overanalyzing not only the person that I was with and the relationship, but overanalyzing myself and my response. The amount of guilt and shame and anger, the amount of anger I had for myself, that I was anxious all the time, and I didn't feel like I trusted this person, and I didn't feel like I was receiving love, and yet for some reason I was still there. The amount of self-hate that was happening for not knowing. And so the obsession around should I stay or should I go was like this way of me trying to force myself into a decision that I wasn't ready for. And so the first tool that I'm going to give you and the permission that I'm going to give you is stop trying to rush the answer for yourself. Accept and acknowledge that right now you don't know what to do. And when you come from a place of compassion around that, and empathy and sympathy for the pain, you're inviting a different energy into this. Instead of just asking this question from a place of fear, you can ask it from a place of love for yourself. Shift the question from should I stay or should I go? Change the story to I'm really uncertain about being in this relationship and I still need to gather more information. Is there a way I can do this more gently and more lovingly and more surrendered to my truth? Is that no matter how much pain I'm in, I'm not ready to make a choice. Can I shift the goal from making a decision today to learning more about myself today inside of my fear? Because more often or not, something triggers the should I stay or should I go. It's usually a situation, a moment, a conversation. It's having a desire and it's not being met. It's feeling like you've been hurt. There's always this moment, this moment where it triggers and activates the question. And so what happens is that when we get activated or we get triggered and we start going to a story of obsession, it's actually a really good moment for you to begin to get curious about what is your actual truth, your functional adult desires and needs in relationship, and what is your adaptive child, what is your trauma response, and which one is leading the ask of should I stay or should I go? Is my 18-year-old who is afraid of being abandoned screaming at me to get the heck out of here? Or is it a conscious thought process of, this is really hurtful and I think I should set a boundary or make a request or ask a question or get more clarity or stay in the moment of the relationship instead of go into fight or flight in my mind? Because what happened before I had these tools was no matter what, every single behavior and every single moment was activating this idea of me needing to get out because I wasn't safe. And what I wasn't clear on at the time and what I have clarity on now is that in my personal relationship, 90% of that was really about me being codependent, me taking something personally, me making that person's stuff mine, me going to a place of like guilt, shame about who I was. I would have these huge emotional reactions that would cause me to think about immediately leaving, instead of just being in a real place of awareness and understanding and not being triggered or activated and be like, oh, my partner's actually just having a bad day. That's his stuff. Like, I'm not gonna deal with that. Or, oh, this is a very real situation that happens over and over. My person is not emotionally available for my feelings when I'm having a hard day. My person keeps walling off and getting uncomfortable every time I want to talk about this one thing. Okay, I'm in awareness of what's happening. So now I have a choice. Do I want to ask for something? Do I want to explore this conversation even though it makes them uncomfortable? Do I want to create a boundary request around getting some outside help around this? Like, how do I want to navigate the situation to consciously get to a place where we can consciously leave the relationship, not leave a relationship out of fight or flight, So the obsessive thought process of should I stay or should I go, I was always in fight or flight when I was feeling that personally. And you can check in on whether or not that's your experience. You might go into freeze or denial or shut down or depression. But those energies are what activates in us. It's that red flag of like, hey, this might be coming from a trauma response and not coming from a real grounded place. And I'll tell you what, you can think about leaving your relationship from a grounded place and it's not hijacking you. You can know in your heart that you're not entirely sure if this person is the person that you're able to stay with. As you begin to grow, the other person's got to grow with you, or you're probably going to have to go because you're getting more confident in yourself. But if you don't give yourself the opportunity to really choose whether or not you want to be in the relationship, and you're always in fight or flight or fawn or freeze and like you have to figure it out, those are two different energies. So backing up, give yourself permission to stop rushing for the answer and listen to your body. Your body is the most important communicator. Your mind might be spinning what's happening in your body. Your body isn't really dramatic, it's honest. So if you're with somebody and they constantly make you anxious, you don't need to ruminate around the story over and over and over. You just need to get in some radical self-honesty with yourself about, wow, I'm always anxious when I'm with this person. I am always on edge. I do not feel safe. The recovery work is figuring out, do I not feel safe because they are not safe? Or do I not feel safe because my adaptive child and my trauma responses are popping up? See how complex this is? It's so complex. Of course, no wonder we get into this place where we're in these obsessive thought process. But if you can stay with yourself, if you can practice the sacred pause, if you can remember awareness, if you can give yourself permission to say, hey, I know you feel like you're doing something by obsessing and ruminating and constantly questioning, but you've asked the question 1,000 times and it hasn't given you the answer. So we're going to do something differently. We're going to stay with the body and we're going to come home to ourselves and we're going to start asking questions, deeper questions. Instead of jumping of what should I do, let me get a little bit more present with how do I feel. Here's a really powerful question for you. Should I stay? Should I go? Should I stay? Should I go? Interrupt the pattern and ask, what does it look like to stay with me right now? What does it look like to take all this attention I'm putting on my relationships and the other person and turn towards myself and make space for myself? And this is where you're going to make the small steps. What request could I make of this person? What boundary could I set? And we haven't gotten into talking about boundaries yet. And that's why this episode's a little bit jumping ahead, but we're going to get there. But what boundary could I set? What happens if I stop trying to manage their experience and how they are and who they are, and stop trying to control or wish they were somebody else? And if I just start thinking about my own emotional process and what's happening for me? And because I know I'm not ready to stay or should I go, how can I be with myself right now because I am staying? Instead of agonizing for the next hour and obsessing on this, how can I be with myself? How can I come into my body? How can I nurture myself? What could I do nice for myself? What do I want to eat? What do I want to drink? Do I want to move my body? Do I want to go spend time with a friend? Do I want to create something? Do I want to make something? Do I want to channel this energy? What do I want to explore about myself? Because more often than not, we're trying to suppress it and repress it, right? Am I going to go drink? Am I going to go get high? Am I going to go get attention from somewhere else? Am I going to try to really blow this up and get a really big fight so I get some emotional response and I feel connected? Am I going to shove it under the rug and bypass it? Am I going to make excuses for the person? We ask these questions from a place of love. What is this relationship reflecting to me about where I still abandon myself? That's a great question to ask. What is this relationship reflecting to me about where I still abandon myself? What a better question to ask than should I stay or should I go? Pause, grab a journal, grab your phone. What is this relationship reflecting to me right now about where I might be abandoning myself? Anchor yourself in the now and in the moment, because the imagined futured questions are the ones that keep you in a spiral. Like, If I leave, will I regret it? If I stay, am I going to waste more years? This is this one is a big one. What if I leave, and what if I'm the catalyst for this person's change? They've treated me like this way, blah, blah, blah. And I know what's going to happen. I'm just going to leave them, and they're going to have their heart broken, and suddenly they're going to get all well and healed and better for someone else. And someone else is going to get the best version of them. Well, screw that. That's not fair. If you feel that way or you've thought that way, you are not alone. That is so common. But what's true like right now? Because that's the future. And those questions are not going to get you any closer to figuring out whether you're going to stay or go. The one thing that is going to give you the answer of whether or not you should stay or go is when you are in a place of absolute love, reverence, and trust for yourself. You will consciously choose to stay, and you will consciously choose to go when you are ready, and it will come from a place of empowerment. It will not be coming from a place of insecurity, love addiction, desperation, desire, or fear about whether or not that other person's going to find someone else to love, because you will get so confident in yourself that you will realize that that person also deserves love and to heal. And good for them. Good for them if they finally figured it out and they had to lose something in order to become open or available or a more loving person. But I'm not missing out on anything by choosing myself. And my guess is if that happens and you did decide to leave, that you are going to choose the next person from a place of love and reverence for yourself, not from a place of trauma response and insecurity and trying to make somebody love you the way you need to be loved. So guess what? Everybody wins. At least that's the story that I like to tell myself. Because that story comes from love for myself and for somebody else, and not from a place of fear. So what do you need to do in that moment to feel like yourself, to connect to yourself? Here I am, I'm obsessively thinking about whether to stay or go, and I'm evidence gathering, and I'm doing all these things. Pause. Is there a truth you can return to? Is there a truth? There's a question that I like to invite the women I work with into, and it's, what do I know about myself to be absolutely true? And this is such an amazing anchor question that I needed when I was spiraling. Because the answer I had was, what do I know about myself to be absolutely true? I know that I am deeply working on healing these patterns so that I can become clear. I know that I am doing my best. I know that I have counsel. I know that I'm using my tools. I know that I am trying. I also know that I am afraid. I also know that I am uncertain. I also know that I don't know what to do. I know those things to be true. There is so much power in knowing ourselves. I could trust those things about me. What do you know about yourself to be absolutely true? That is in support to your unfolding, that is in support into this journey of authenticity, that is in support to you coming to a place of knowing and trusting your yes and your no, your stay and your go. You might not know what's absolutely true because it's been a while since you've asked yourself, or maybe you've never asked yourself. No partner, no relationship, no future fantasy will save you from the sacred work of coming home to yourself. But as you begin to do it, as you begin to tune into your gut so you can trust your gut, as you begin to ask what you need so that you can honor your needs, as you begin to stop shape-shifting and set boundaries, being yourself, the relationships around you will reveal themselves to you, and you will be healthy-minded, healthy-spirited, healthy-bodied, and you will be able to see with clarity and make your choice from that place. You will be sure, I promise you. And you won't feel lost because you're not leaving yourself anymore. But the way to get there to that place is to do all of those little tiny things, to turn away from the person, away from the story, into yourself, asking yourself what you need, asking what you know about yourself to be true. It can be simple. It can be, I need some water. I need a hug from somebody. I need to spend time with my friends. I need to go out into nature. It can be small. Please do not bypass the small things in life, like the breath, the breathing, the meditation, the practices, the moving your body. Our society wants to bypass the work and they just want to get to the solution. They just want the answer. They want the quick fix. Why? Because we don't like to be uncomfortable. I'm not shaming anyone when I say that. It's just true. It's the society we live in. And we've developed all these systems and tools and pills and shots and all these things to make it all happen really, really fast. But the growth, the resilience that comes from learning to be in your discomfort and loving yourself in discomfort, that is what's going to make you an empowered person. So my invitation to you is, when you're asking yourself that question, see if you can take that as a moment for you to discover something about yourself. And instead of thinking about it, I want you to think about taking action, like physical action, like a small step or a small tiny change. So here are a couple things I'm going to offer you to navigate this. Little rituals for you when you're in the spiral. 1, create for yourself a no decisions today ritual. I do not have to make a decision today. When the decision anxiety thrives on urgency, then interrupting the urgency will ground your nervous system, and not only mentally, but physically. So you can do a couple things. 1, you can pause, you can sit down, and on a piece of paper, you can say, I love you, and you do not have to decide today. And you can write yourself a note, and you can put it in your pocket. And through your day, when you start getting in that loop, you can grab it and you can look at it and you can be reminded that I gave myself permission, that I don't need to do anything today, that I'm not ready. Reclaim your solitude. If you find yourself in a relationship where so much energy and attention is focused on the other person, I want to remind you that you are your own person outside of the relationship. And so reclaiming your solitude is committing to 10, 20, 30 minutes of being in your own energy, focusing on something that does not have to do with your relationship. When you're looping an obsession, you lose connection to your own voice and your own energy. So go take a walk without your phone. If that feels like you can't really be walking on your own, in your head, you're going to start ruminating. Listen to something that you enjoy. Maybe sing out loud if you can. Use your voice in a different way so you're not thinking. I would really invite you to step into something creative, whether that is actual drawing or some type of art process or something that you really love to do. If it is dance, movement, expressing how you feel through your body is so powerful. So putting on a song, like a really empowering song that you love, and then instead of like thinking of dance moves, what does your body want to do? How does it want to move this anger, this anxiety, this fear? It's a completely different experience when you self-express with your body. You can hole up in a room. You can even lock your bathroom door and put your headphones on. Nobody needs to know. You could be in a journal and do like a 10-minute of like writing self-expression where you just allow everything to come out freely, where you're not trying to fix it, but a lot of times just getting everything out on paper so you're not ruminating over and over again. Just because you're in solitude doesn't necessarily mean you don't have to think about the person or the relationship, because sometimes you're in such an obsessive place that it's hard for you not to. So instead of trying to avoid it, maybe do it in a healthy way. 30 minutes of solitude could include being in someone else's energy that is supportive. But I would invite you not to be spending that whole time talking about your relationship, but maybe holding space for a friend or being of service to somebody else. The goal here is just to remove yourself and be in your own space. I personally like rituals like pulling cards and going outside and creating altars and looking at nature, going around and picking wildflowers and then coming home and putting it in a tiny vase. I like try to do things that really involve some type of movement and some type of creativity, some type of self-expression. Another tool is like a somatic interrupter. So, going outside and putting your hands or your feet on the earth, laying down. That can be really hard when you're anxious. The last thing you want to do is slow down, I know. I would like massage my hands. Like that was something that I would do, and just doing something to come back into the body. You can also designate, if you want, you can designate a thinking time. And then when you're done, you have to be complete. So you can say, I'm going to set a timer for 10 to 15 minutes. But honestly, if you're going to do that, I'd put your thinking on paper because it slows down the mind. You can't think of stories as quickly. You can't write as quickly as you think of your stories. And so it requires you to slow down and really think about what it is you're saying. And you might even tune in more to the more important pieces instead of the story, but more of how you're feeling. And one of the most powerful things you can do during a spin out is use it to gather data and ask yourself, am I in a codependent pattern? And that is what's causing the spin out. Am I self-abandoning and getting resentful? Am I saying I'm fine when I'm actually hurt? Am I trying to control the situation by shape-shifting and not getting what I need? Am I staying silent because I'm afraid? Am I hoping this person's going to give me something that I'm not giving myself? So when you go back to the first or second episode and I give you a list of the different codependent patterns of behavior, it's a good opportunity to sit with, okay, I'm in a question of should I stay or should I go? What energy is behind that? Am I afraid? Am I in fight or flight? Am I angry? Am I in resentment? Am I shape-shifting? What is happening for me? Because here's the thing. The moments that are going to frustrate you and make you the most uncomfortable are the moments where you're going to have an opportunity to do the recovery work that is required. Is that every time you are activated, you have a choice to discover something about yourself. You have a choice to stand up for yourself. You have a choice to be in your authenticity. You have a choice to set a boundary. You have a choice to make a request. It is in the most uncomfortable moments. So when you are in, should I stay or should I go? This is an opportunity for you to come to a place of deeper love and trust for yourself. And now here's what's challenging, as you might listen to this and might go, this isn't helpful. This stuff feels small. I don't get it. I don't feel transformed. You want me to write something on a piece of paper? But here's the deal, is that this takes time. It is a constant practice. And I know this, I promise you, because the women I work with that want this linear process of like, okay, if I do this, this, and this, and this, I'm going to feel better. What they come to realize and what they come to understand and what I finally get to see is the freedom on the other side of in every single moment turning away from their partner and towards themselves. Are they learning, feeling, embodying, somatically shifting the energy of fear and the energy of anxiety that rules their lives? And this episode is specifically about the obsessive thought process of should I stay or should I go? It is not a genuine question. It feels genuine in your heart. You really want to know if you should stay or should you go. But there is the river beneath the river. Beneath the panic, beneath the obsessing, beneath the mental ping pong, there is something much deeper stirring in you. And it is not just about the relationship to the person. It is about your relationship to yourself. It's about whether you trust yourself to know what is true for you. Whether you feel safe enough to honor your own voice, whether you believe you're worthy of peace, respect, love, without needing to fight for it. That's the real work. That's the deeper current that is being asked of you. And when you drop in to that layer, you begin to soften your grip on the question. You realize that you don't have to force this clarity. In fact, every time you ask from these places of fight or flight, you're getting further away from yourself. You have to build your capacity. And in order to build your capacity, start seeing these moments as an opportunity. I know that sounds maybe impossible in this moment, but I did. Every time I was confronted with my anxiety and fear, and for me it was fight or flight or fawn or whatever, I had awareness that this was an opportunity for me to understand what part of myself was wounded and how could I heal and guide that part. The safety I wanted from someone else, I began to give to myself. And the more safe I felt in my body, then the more with my truth I was, and there I found my answers. You will find your answers in the river beneath the river. And so again, whether it is coming into your physical body, coming into a deeper place of your heart, one of the things that we haven't talked about yet are all of the guided meditations I have. I actually have a Healing Our Relationships meditation album, and I will see about pinning a link here, seeing how I can add that into here for you. If you're listening to this and you want it right now, send me an email. But I actually have these highly guided visual journeys to move you from your head to your heart and out of story and into a deeper place of awareness. And here's the last thing I'm going to pin for you. And for those of you who are very spiritual, this is going to be easy. For some of you who are not, it might be hard to stomach. What has gotten me through the last 17 years of ups and downs, my addiction and my recovery, has been believing in source, believing in spirit, believing in a divine power and energy greater than me. Not necessarily a divine plan that's already played out, not some epic archetype in the sky that is watching me or seeing which choices I'm going to make. But believing that I had a sacred purpose, believing that I was fighting for my life and my right to live, and seeing all along the way these cosmic connections, this universal power, this force, my spiritual gifts, my connection to the other realm and the unseen. I was so much more than my human experience. I was divine. And that when I was tapped into my divinity, I could look at my humanity from a more macro point of view and realize that all the things I was living as if were some life or death situation, they really weren't. And that no matter what, I was going to be okay. And even if it didn't feel like in the moment I was believing that or trusting in my higher self or a higher power, it was always below the surface. That I knew that I didn't need to have all the answers. And I also knew that the person in my life and the people in my life, they had their own journey too. And I was not in control of it or responsible for it. And what this really brings forward is surrender. What it really means to be surrendered to the truth of what is. That when I stopped fighting who my partner was and started accepting who my partner was, then I could choose if I wanted to be with that person. When I stopped fighting who I was and started accepting who I was, I showed up in my life in a different way. I needed the macro. I needed spirit. I needed source. I needed something greater. I've needed something greater. I love that I have something greater, and it's very real to me. Don Miguel Ruiz says, if you're going to tell yourself a story, tell yourself a beautiful one. So you can listen to the voice of lies and tell yourself all these stories and your ruminations and your anxiety, or you can start telling stories of love and support and hope and joy. It's all real. Real is whatever we choose to say yes and agree to and with. So the last thing I will leave you with that hopefully sums this up is act from self-connection or spirit connection in your relationship versus this whole idea of making a decision. That in every one small act of connecting to yourself and tuning into yourself, you're reestablishing your power, even when the picture is unclear. And please remember, you don't have to make a decision today. And if you can accept yourself as you are in this moment, if you can accept yourself when you're in fight or flight and going into should I stay or should I go, when you can love yourself and be compassionate with yourself, that is what's going to soothe you the most. That's what's going to bring you back to self-connection. So what do you know about yourself right now to be absolutely true? And if you don't have something, I'll tell you something that I know is that you're here. You're here listening and exploring, and that is a very powerful truth. I love you. I'm proud of you, and I'll see you on the other side. Thank you for being here with me. If something in this episode landed, if it stirred something in your heart or helped you feel less alone, please give me a rate and review and share with a friend. You can always learn more about me and what I offer at healwithalchemy.com. And if you're longing for community, for live connection and real conversation, I host a free Healing Our Relationships circle on the last Thursday of the month on Zoom. You can join us by downloading my app, HealSpace. It's free, and the circle lives right there in the app, along with my meditations, offerings, and a space to be seen. If you're ready to go deeper, I'll be guiding Awakening Woman, my next in-person retreat in Sedona this November. A weekend of breathwork, healing, ritual, sisterhood. It's a powerful space for transformation, and there are a few spots left. My next Mystery School cohort opens this October. It's a sacred container for women walking a spiritual path. We work with archetypes, shadow, and the divine feminine, and it's a full journey around the sun. 12 months, 6 women. You'll find all the details for retreat, mystery school, and so much more at healwithalchemy.com. Come find the space that speaks to you in your season. I'm so grateful to be here with you, and I'll see you soon.